Find the first 5 terms and the 100th term of the sequence given by c sub n equals -1 to the nth times n over n plus 1. This is going to be a little bit more complicated than the ones we've seen before, so let's go through each of these terms slowly. For the first term, c sub 1, we've got -1 to the first power times 1 over 1 plus 1. Now, a negative to an odd power is going to stay negative, so we're going to have a negative out front, and then we've got 1 over 2, so -1/2. Let's look at the second term, c sub 2. In this case, we have -1 to the second power times 2 over 2 plus 1. Now here, a negative times a negative is a positive, so these negative ones will cancel out, and we're left with positive 2 over 3, or positive 2/3. For the third term, we've got -1 to the third power times 3 over 3 plus 1. Again, we're going to end up with a negative, just like the first one, because a negative to an odd power is negative. So we've got a negative out front, and then we've got 3 over 4, so we've got -3/4. If we write out the terms so far, we've got -1/2, positive 2/3, and -3/4. Can you see the pattern yet? These terms are alternating between negative and positive, so the next one will be positive, and then the fifth one will be negative. And then if we look at the fractions, ignoring the negative, we've got 1/2, 2/3, 3/4. In each case, the numerator and denominator are increasing by 1, so we'll end up with 4/5 and 5/6. We can verify this by using the formula. C sub 4 is -1 to the 4th times 4 over 4 plus 1. Here, a negative to an even power becomes positive, so the negatives cancel, and we are left with 4/5, just as we expected. And then c sub 5, we've got -1 to the 5th times 5 over 5 plus 1. A negative to an odd power stays negative, and we've got -5/6, just as we expected. So the first 5 terms of this sequence are -1/2, positive 2/3, -3/4, positive 4/5, and -5/6. For the 100th term, we again rely on the formula. We've got -1 to the 100th times 100 over 100 plus 1. A negative to an even power becomes positive, so our answer here will be positive, and we've got 100 over 101, so the 100th term is 100 over 101. Just a quick reminder in general, whenever we have -1 to the nth, or -1 to the n plus first, or -1 to the n minus first, that's generally going to give us an alternating sequence where the terms alternate between negative, positive, negative, positive, or positive, negative, positive, negative.